out there, fucking crazy. You know that you can't get caught with any weed out there.
In Singapore?
If you get caught with so much as like a nugget of weed out there, death penalty.
That, God damn.
Yeah, that's why I'm like the whole situation with what's her name, Brittany
Brittany
Garner,
Griner?
or yeah, Brittany Renner in Russia. I'm sorry, I don't feel no sympathy for her. Like, she's lucky she got jail time. Like, people get killed out here because of that in Singapore.
That, my thing about a Brittany Griner, like everybody brings her up, but we gotta focus. Like, I feel bad for her, but we should change those laws here. Like, we got people locked up here, you know, for a
Oh, for
little
sure.
for little shit like that. So it's like,
No, I understand the severity of the situation because it's one of our own in a country like Russia, of all places. And it's like I get it why it's a touchy topic, but yeah, it's like we do have people serving maximum minimums out here in the United States due to freaking infractions that happened back in the 90s, and they never were able to have their day in court because of like, what, a fucking dime bag, a fucking ounce or something like that. And it's weed. And then you have people out here that start medical practices and sell that shit. And it's like these motherfuckers are still in jail. So I get it. They should all have immunity, considering the fact that it's legal now.
most states, a lot of states, not everywhere.
Not every
It's still federally illegal.
but I can honestly see weed being federally legal in the next 10 to 15 years.
Say that, but like, why? Like, we got didn't people Democrats run on that shit? That shit's still illegal. They not changing shit. I
I would say legalize it because they tax the fuck out of here. Like out here, our weed shops, like this one down the street from my house, it's like a 33% tax on fucking everything that you buy. The government's not gonna fucking complain when they get their little money on the sidelines. My thing is, I just like tax it, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Just don't put nothing in my shit that I didn't ask for. That's all I'm saying.
They need to do that. I think they need to do that with all drugs. Because you look at it, a lot of people in America die from shit that they get in their drugs that they don't know was in their drugs because it's illegal. It's on the black market. It's not regulated, you know? They're getting fentanyl when they want this or that.
So, like, what you say, do it with all drugs? You mean like literally everything?
Literally everything. Treat it like we do alcohol.
So,
Freaking,
what? Cocaine too?
yeah. Cocaine.
Heroin?
Yeah.
Damn. Don't.
Heroin. I gotta, you ever listen to, this man? His name is, give me a second here. Give me a Dr. Carl Hart. He
Can't say no.
he's a professor at he psychology professor at Columbia University.
Okay.
Black man. He openly talks about how he does heroin.
What?
He he
What?
he likes it more than alcohol because he takes a bump or whatever, he chills him out, it enhances his life or whatever. He wrote a book called Drug Use for Grown-ups. So apparently,
What?
yeah, apparently he grew up. He was like staunchly like never did any drugs or whatever.
Yeah.
Then he started like studying like how drugs affect you. And then he's like he starts to understand it more and like the problem is people use it wrong. That's why he wrote a book called Drug Use for Adults. Problem we have is everything's illegal, right? So
Right.
it's like there's no like social norms. I kind of covered this on my last pod a little bit, but there's no real social norms on how we do things. Like for alcohol, there's sayings like don't drink before 6 or whatever, don't drink and drive or whatever, because it's legal. We know how like we're grown. We know how to do it. Some people don't do it right. We got AA. Some people shouldn't drink. So we say, hey, yo ass shouldn't drink, go to AA. So it's like people need to grow up and figure out we can
I mean,
teach each other the right way through culture how to use these drugs. you know?
I mean, I don't see recreational heroin being a normal thing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, and like you made a good point in the sense that like some people don't know how to take their drugs, and some people should just abstain from it altogether.
Well, he sniffs it. He's not sitting here shooting up veins, you know? You don't fucking caffeine's legal. You don't see nobody shooting up fucking caffeine.
No, of course not. Like that
So
would
it's
be
like obviously the people that are out here tripped out and fucking addicted to all their drug or whatever, they're doing it wrong. They're going overboard.
but you can't compare caffeine to heroin because the detriments are different. You know what I'm saying? Like one, you can actually live the rest of your life drinking, or you could live, I'm not saying the rest of your life, but you could live a prolonged life drinking coffee versus doing heroin. Like you're putting a cap on your shit at some point.
Are you? If you're doing it, obviously, if this man he's
Yes.
doing it and he's a
But
fucking
that's one
professor,
outlier. That's
one
one
out,
outlier.
he
You
knows
can't
what he's
take
doing.
But that's one outlier. You can't take the lifestyle of one outlier, compare it to like millions and millions of people who have overdosed on fucking heroin. You know what I'm saying? That's just
Yeah,
not true.
overdose. You're not doing it right. You're
But
not.
but but think about look, listen to what I'm saying. Is that if millions of people are overdosing and one person got it right, it's like
They're
one
overdosing because they're taking a lot of the overdoses nowadays because they're trying to get heroin. They're getting fentanyl. That's a
okay,
whole different thing.
but that's like for me, like being a functioning alcoholic, never got a DUI, knock on wood, never got arrested, never got myself in a bad situation that I couldn't get myself out of. Show up to work, show up to freaking, jujitsu, all these different things. And I could say I figured out like how to master alcohol, but I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this shit. Like, I'm not going to advocate for how to properly drink to find a functionality within it. If anything, it's like I'm trying to learn how to stop doing it. That's my thing. Because I already figured out how to survive. You build a strong ass tolerance when you're like 12 years old and you find a way to sustain it.
I feel
But it's
that.
like, but I'm like, I'm not in the market of looking for how to normalize heroin so that people can get their heroin high. And because the thing is, like heroin, I think the shit was normalized at one point in time. Same thing with cocaine. Same thing with like fentanyl. Like there's a lot of things that people were doing like recreationally at one point in time, but probably to their detriment. That's why they took it off the shelves. I mean,
Yeah.
there's probably more of a story behind that I haven't looked into yet. But yeah,
Drugs are powerful. I'm not saying they're not powerful and they could fuck your life up. All I'm saying is if you use them correctly, they can enhance your life. And sitting here making them illegal is like you said when it comes to weed, you want to know what's in your weed, right? If you legalize shit, then we know
right.
what's in the if you a
But you
grown
never,
ass man, why we get sitting here treating people like kids? Like you
but
make your choices.
but you never. I get that. I understand that perspective. I do. I was gonna say you've never heard of anybody die from weed. You never heard of anyone die from shrooms. Like more on the psychedelic aspect. Now, I would definitely legalize that. I think like we should use more discernment about what drugs we legalize and then under what conditions are we allowed to do them. That in an instance, I think would be more beneficial for the country as a whole rather than just saying legalize all drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like use some discernment, like figure out what drugs have the most health benefits by actually doing clinical research. Like they was testing motherfucking soldiers back in the 60s and 70s with acid. You know what I'm saying? Like they legit have tried to do this before. But do you want to really give acid to someone who's going out to war? Like, are you kidding me? I was on my toilet doing acid one time and I almost had a freaking panic attack. You know what I'm saying? I can only imagine being out in war. But then I also was out in nature and I did acid and I had the best experience of my life.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Social norms. There's right ways to do things. So we
No,
know
I'm saying there's right drugs to do. I think there's not necessarily just right ways to do things. You know what I'm saying? Like um we could go back and forth on that one. I just like I don't see. I'm gonna have to read this book. I really, actually, really
read
like
the book. Read the
you have
book.
convinced. No, you've convinced me. I really want to read this book now.
Read the book. Read the book.
you have for sure convinced me that I want to read this book. Like that is wild. And maybe I'll sing a different tune when I actually read the book. But
And then after you read it, you come back on. We'll talk about
oh, for
it.
sure. No, we will absolutely talk about it because I'm like, how have I not heard about this, man?
Listen to the full conversation at Undogmatic Tribe on Spotify. That's Undogmatic Tribe on Spotify. Follow me anywhere on the internet on all socials at Undogmatic Media.